At 22 years old, Tyrese Haliburton is currently playing in his third NBA season, and this year he's been no doubt one of the most productive and exciting young point guards across the league. And in this video, we're going to specifically look at what makes Haliburton so effective on the court, and what he can improve on going forward. So the foundation of Tyrese's game lays with his ability to put pressure on the rim, and he does that in a variety of ways. Haliburton is 6'5", lengthy, and has really good overall quickness, and he's able to get himself downhill by heavily leaning on his physical tools, by just using his length and speed to attack angles and get into space. Watch on this play how Haliburton is going to go through, and he picks up the ball off his left foot, which is behind the 3, and he's able to extend all the way to the rim in 2 steps. Tyrese's game off the dribble is pretty straightforward. His go-to move is a front cross with either hand, and he's commonly attacking the defense's top foot, which causes them to pivot their stance, and gives Haliburton an angle to attack. You can see the pattern pretty clearly. Haliburton crosses and beats his man's top foot, which gets the defense off balance, trying to square back up, which opens up another top foot to attack, and then another. Now when a player commonly hits these front crosses, there's always the risk of getting your pocket picked, but Tyrese does a good job of lowering his inside shoulder, which allows him to shield the ball and bump through defenders trying to reach. While Haliburton does have a solid overall game off the dribble, what I think really makes him special is how he's able to use his strides and different pickups to slice through gaps, because there's a lot of players who are great at beating their initial man, but they lack the ability to knife their way into the deep paint. Tyrese loves to hit these low pickups, which allows him to slice through gap defenders like butter. This move all comes back to Haliburton's length, being able to use his gather step as he picks up the ball, then use those long strides to stretch all the way to the rim. Now Haliburton uses all these skills and physical gifts to get himself all the way to the rim, but when Tyrese is playing in the deep paint, I do think his finishing bag is a little limited. Now like we just went over, Haliburton can stretch and use his reach to finish pretty effectively, and he does have good touch on these wider high arcing layups. However, I do think his strength and overall physicality can really improve when he's playing downhill. Haliburton is primarily a 1-foot finisher, which works well when you have a clear runway to attack into. But when playing in traffic, you need to have some different 2-step finishes, veers, and other contact-seeking moves to effectively score. And those are skills that I don't see from Tyrese too often. When he's playing in a crowded paint, he resorts to just elevating off 1 foot and recklessly trying to maneuver his way into a finish. And he also doesn't seek out contact early on his drives, which causes him to lose his driving angle and get pushed into a tougher finish. Like on this play, he's able to beat Horford and get him on his hip, and from this spot, he should be already getting physical with Al to keep his driving line, but you'll see how Haliburton gets pushed into a tougher shot. I think the quickest way for Tyrese to improve his contact finishing is to just elevate off 2 feet, which gives your body way better stability as opposed to jumping off 1 foot. Now instead of playing in the deep paint, other guards will stop from around 5 to 10 feet and settle for floaters, which I think can work for smaller guards, but Tyrese is currently shooting below 45% on all his runners for this year, according to Synergy. And for Pacers fans, I'd rather see Haliburton generating layups and free throws, attacking the basket, instead of settling for less efficient floaters. While I do think Haliburton can improve his finishing in traffic, he still has more than enough skill and ability to put a ton of pressure on the rim, and that downhill threat opens up the best part of his game, which is his playmaking. At the time of this recording, Tyrese is currently averaging 10.4 assists per game, which is the second highest across the league. And again, it all comes back to Tyrese's ability to knife through the defense and put pressure on the rim, which collapses the floor and creates scrambles for his teammates to attack. And not every pass Haliburton throws always leads to a direct shot, but he does create advantages for Indiana to attack. Like on this play, watch Tyrese drive it to his left and notice how he gets the entire defense to shift, which opens up a swing pass to Mathurin and allows him to catch and attack the closeout. And Haliburton just has a good feel of the entire court. He's always aware of both where his teammates are and where the help is coming from. Tyrese's gravity as a downhill scorer and his elite basketball feel is already enough by itself to make him an elite playmaker, but there's still a lot more to go over. Tyrese can also playmake on the perimeter. He constantly has his head up, and he's reading all 5 defenders on the floor. If anybody falls asleep off the ball or is sloppy on a coverage, Haliburton is going to make them pay for it. On this play, watch when Tyrese catches, how he has his eyes glued on Jabari Smith, and you'll see Jabari briefly turn his head and fall asleep off the ball, so Haliburton just pitches it to Turner, who's able to catch and get an easy and one. This play shows how elite Haliburton is at reading and manipulating the defense. You'll see how the Pacers have a mismatch down low with Maxey guarding one of their bigs. So Harden and Maxey try to switch so the Sixers can get a bigger body down low. And notice how Haliburton is reading all that on the fly. So he snaps a skip pass to the corner while Philly's trying to rematch up, which creates a closeout. And when the ball gets kicked back out to Tyrese, watch how he puts eyes on his teammate in the corner, which pulls this defender out of the paint, and finally creates a layup for Indiana. Now, what I think really separates Tyrese as an overall playmaker is how he delivers his passes. Haliburton has a variety of unorthodox deliveries, and some of the dimes he throws may get some coaches upset, commonly leaving his feet while still making decisions and snapping one-hand dimes all over the court. When watching Haliburton's facilitating style, he may seem chaotic and reckless with some of the passes he throws, but he has a 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, which is the 7th best across the NBA. And I think Tyrese is able to break some of these unwritten passing rules because of how long and athletic he is, being able to elevate and peer over both his man and the weak side help. Even when he's playing against a big and drop coverage, Tyrese can simply rise up and deliver a pass over the top. So let's move on to Haliburton's outside shooting, and to be honest, I think the mechanics on his shot are just weird. Tyrese has a set shot, getting little to no lift off the floor, and having a low release point. Now there's lots of other great outside shooters who have a similar type of set shot, but what makes Tyrese's mechanics different is how he doesn't get a lot of extension from his lower body. Notice how his knees pretty much stayed bent from his load up to his final release. But similar to his passing, Haliburton's unorthodox methods don't affect his production on the court, and he's currently shooting above 40% from 3, as well as above 42% on all his jumpers off the dribble. Because Tyrese does so much damage when he's playing downhill, there's times he can just easily float into a rhythm pull-up, because he always catches his man bouncing backwards for fear of the blow-by. Watch on this play how he simply hits a left to right through, and that's enough to get Caruso leaning backwards. And because Haliburton is such a huge threat as a playmaker, there's times defensive coverages are so worried about him as a passer that they completely leave him on the perimeter. And Haliburton may not get a lot of lift on his shot, but he also has no fat in his mechanics, being able to transition the ball from a live dribble to a set point really quickly. Right here, he's again playing off the bounce, and look how swiftly he brings the ball to his set point, and he's already getting his shot off before the defense can contest. Tyrese also has a variety of ways to create separation off the dribble. He has your typical step backs and side steps in his bag, but what I think he does really well is build momentum, then quickly hit the brakes to create space. On this play, watch how Haliburton is working off this screen, and you'll see Beverly chasing him, trying to get back in position. So Tyrese is going to aggressively put the ball back down as if he's trying to turn the corner, and you'll see how Patrick has his hips turned, trying to beat him to the spot. But then Tyrese stops on a dime, elevating into a left-right pull-up, while Beverly's momentum is being pulled downhill. And finally, Tyrese can leverage the threat of his outside shooting and use it to get himself downhill. Watch how he hesitates and puts his eyes on the rim, which slightly lifts both of these defenders out of their stance and allows him to explode downhill. We'll end it on this clip, and this is one of my favorite moves that I've seen Tyrese hit all year, where he steps back off his right foot and brings that same foot back behind him to push himself to the basket. This Pacers team overall has been really fun to watch all year, and it's going to be really exciting to see Tyrese both develop as a player and lead this young team in the years to come. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and let me know in the comments who the kids should break down next. The kid's here.